The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the Rib. And again, we start off the show with Commander COVID.
Commander COVID, huh? I love that title. It's unbelievable.
Well, at least they get the most accurate figures from you.
Well, they get the most recent. That's true. Total cases in Massachusetts is 107,061. Total deaths is 7,858 with 30 new deaths. Bristol County has 8,035 cases. There are 125 total new cases in Massachusetts. And on Father's Day, we had 2 new COVID cases, bringing the total up to 1,558. There was no report of deaths over the weekend.
Well, again, we keep our eye peeled and
it seems
going on, and that we're entering the end of another phase. Supposedly, indoor dining can begin shortly under conditions, and so we'll see another area we have to watch. And a belated happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I hope you all had a good Father's Day.
Well, you mentioned that people can go back to indoor dining, but WBUR, Liam Knox, and the State House News Service's Matt Murphy report that Governor Charlie Baker on Friday officially lifted the ban on indoor restaurant dining in Massachusetts, starting today, and with social distancing restrictions, of course. As the state enters the latest phase of reopening the state's economy amid the coronavirus pandemic. The Boston Business Journal reports that the state restaurants are ready and eager to reopen, but are patrons ready and eager to dine in restaurants? The Daily Hampshire Gazette reports there is no big rush among people to eat inside amid the pandemic. So there you go. You know, you've got another thing where are people going to feel comfortable enough to go in and eat in a restaurant right now?
Yeah, and there again lies a lot of contradictory information. We hear that people are in no hurry to get into these places, yet some of these restaurants are reporting, that people are just flooding in there trying to get reservations, and they're around the buildings of some of these stores that have reopened, and so I mean we get all kinds of. This is, let's face it, there's no rhyme or reason to some of the stuff we get, and all we can do is, as I said, the only thing we can do as individuals is try to keep your distance and wash your hands and try not to get this thing. And, damn the statistics, full speed ahead, because it's crazy. I mean, it's nuts, and it just fits the narrative that the country has created, because you've been watching the news. We had a horrific weekend. The defund the police movement is working. They had 99 shootings in Chicago, murders all over the country, murder in Minneapolis, murders at shop, murders in murders in Seattle, there's murders. New York City had 22 murders, and all these cities that have allowed their people to go into anarchy mode have seen a dramatic spike in criminal activities and in murders and in shootings. And the sad commentary on it is that I saw this morning on a report that a 3-year-old child was shot and killed somebody fired at the father's car, and the bullet went through the back, through the trunk, and killed the child in the car. And these kind of things are just inexcusable. All the murders are inexcusable, and it continues to make me wonder about the sanity of the society that we have created that believes that where do they live? Do they all live with Nancy Pelosi on her estate, surrounded by $8 a pint ice cream and nice plants and a wonderful garden where they can have tea every day? That's not the places we live in. Do they really believe that our society as a whole, when you take away law enforcement, they are going to be nice to each other? That there's not going to be crime in these areas? And the irony of this whole thing is the place that they want to get rid of the police is the place where they need it the most. They're all these cities with gigantically high crime rates. So it makes no sense at all. They want to erase history. They want to take Teddy Roosevelt's statue down. They want to chop off Columbus's head. They want to do everything. And they want to erase everything they don't like and pretend it doesn't happen. Well, when they do that and pretend they live in a beautiful world that's nirvana, then they find out when the guy next door to them runs out of food and he's a little bit bigger than you or he's got a gun, he's going to come over, stick that gun in your face, take all your food, and beat you half to death. Because that's the reality of the human condition. That's where, if you look at all these countries where warlords roam, and there's no law except the law of power, and that's the key. The key is that, I hate to say it, but I saw a good quote on an Indian movie I was watching the other day, not American Indian, so don't start telling me I'm racist or something. An Indian movie. I was watching a movie, and they actually had a pretty good quote. It reminded me of what's happening here. That we have 1,000 sheep bleeding, and it said the roar of a lion drowns out the bleeding of 1,000 sheep, and that's the reality. Once the hen house stops giving the fox enough eggs to eat, he eats the chicken.
That's it.
And that's what's happening up there in CHOP now. It's beginning to unravel because people are not all wonderful. We have a lot of good people. We have a lot of bad people. And this lunacy that's running around under the guise of we want to create some kind of nirvana it's totally delusionary. I think this is the direct result of opening up far too many pot shops. They're all stoned out of their mind.
Well, it brings to mind a meme I've seen a couple of times on Facebook where it's 911, what's your emergency? I'm being robbed. Well, I'm going to send you good thoughts and prayers because there's no police to answer the call. But while we're on that topic, Governor Baker, I love this one, because they're calling for defunding of the police department. But here we go. Governor Baker has submitted a bill for this police training or whatever. But it's very interesting to see because what he's doing is he's offering, here we are, a mud defunding debate. Baker calls for a $5,000 police training bonus. This may be a good idea, but it's going to need a lot of explaining. From the Globe's Matt Stout. Tucked into a sweeping police accountability bill Governor Charlie Baker released that last week was a proposal that surprised even some law enforcement leaders. A system of one-time bonuses of up to $5,000 for police officers to go beyond the state's required training. Stout notes some are hailing the idea of advanced police training, even though it comes at a time when many are calling for police department spending cuts. By the way, from the Globe's Danny McDonald, Boston councilors proposed diverting nonviolent 911 calls away from the police. They want to send those to social workers. It should be interesting to see. I mean, so we're over here screaming about defunding the police department, but we're going to put in a budget in a state that has no money. We're going to put in a $5,000 one-time bonus.
Well, look, number one, they should have that training anyway. It should be part of.
That's right.
Now, and they don't need a bonus. And the reality is, the vast majority of police, and let's let the record be perfectly clear here. The vast majority of police officers do a great job, and they're out there putting their life on the line. Do some of them behave badly in critical situations? Yeah. Some of them not good? Yeah. Well, everybody's not good, but the people who complain the most about the police and say they should be defunded and they're not behaving properly are the same people. I was in the market this weekend, and I go by the arrows. I'm one of those idiots that actually follows directions. So
So do I.
I was in the market, and there was something I looked at the aisle, the thing over the aisle that says what's in the aisle, and something I needed. And I began to go down the aisle, and I looked at it, do not enter sign. I said, okay. I started on, and then somebody came behind me, and this lady looked at me and said, oh, what are you doing? I said, I got to go around. I said, she goes, don't worry about those things. She said, I ignore them all the time. Just ignore them like everybody else does. Well, there you go. Bad behavior. But then she'll complain if somebody else behaves badly and doesn't follow rules. She wants police to follow rules, which they should. But inherently, they don't. And this is the absurdity of this entire argument. Sending social workers. Did anybody pay attention to what happened in that situation when the individual, they had a long, very cordial conversation, and then it immediately deteriorated into a shooting? Did anybody see? Did you see that, TJ?
Yes, I did.
Was I hallucinating?
No, you weren't on drugs that day. Your marijuana ran out.
On drugs that day. Was that a totally calm situation? They were talking about it because there's the situation they would have sent a social worker to.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he's fighting with two cops. He shot a taser at the cop's head. And this is what happens in these situations. Non-violent, the absurdity of these people who have never been in an emergency situation. And that's what really pisses me off. Do you know how quickly and rapidly circumstances change in emergencies? They don't. I do. You know how quickly the environment at a fire can change? You know how quickly a domestic can turn from a conversation into a life or death situation? And they're going to send social workers. And like I said on a previous show, this will only last until the first couple of social workers get murdered. And then somebody's going to say, what moron came up with this idea? The morons that are in the colleges, wrapped in their cotton balls, living in a theoretical world. They have absolutely no idea what police officers face. All you have to do is look at that. And they're using that against the police. Oh, he was very calm. Well, how many times? You know that. I know that.
Yeah.
You know that in prison. How often does a fairly calm situation, degenerate into a life or death situation? Very, very often for police officers. Very often for all emergency personnel. And this is ridiculous. I mean, this is beyond ridiculous. These people, I know mushroom cats that have more cognitive and critical thinking ability than they do. I mean, we've got a bunch of people who live in a world of theory coming up with answers to real world problems. That's the reason we screwed up the world. Every war we won, we screwed up. At the end of the Second World War, Patton wanted to go into Russia. Said, we got the troops, they're trained, they're battle hardened, we got the equipment, Russia's going to create a problem. Let's go take care of them now. And they didn't. And look what happened. How long has Russia been a thorn in our side? The Berlin Wall, everything. The same thing happened in Korea. MacArthur wanted to go across the Yalu into Red China, and look at where China is today, because we didn't do it. Because that's what always happens. The military men and the emergency personnel handle the situations, and then the politicians take over. And when the politicians get their hands on anything, it ends up a total disaster.
This is true.
We got a bunch of college professors, movie actors, and millionaires telling people who live in cities where there's crime that we need less police. They are mental.
It happens. It happens. That's for sure. And like I said, the meme for the 911 calls is it's very obvious that may actually occur. 911, what's your emergency? Oh, I'm being shot at. Oh, my prayers go out to you, and good thoughts and vibes. This is what we're going to be looking at. And when you're looking at things like that, you have to say what's going on. How are we gonna manage the chaos and the anarchy that could come out of this? But
what's going to happen is people are going to lose their lives. So you think what social worker wants that job? You're going to go to a domestic every day because the wife and the husband are yelling at each other, and you're going to go over there and talk to them and give them marriage counseling. And how many times has that ended up with somebody taking a kitchen knife and stabbing the other one, or somebody shooting somebody? And then when they get in the middle of it, how many times have you seen that? I've seen that often. It's happened all the time. You got two people in the middle of a domestic. Somebody, even not a police officer, but a civilian, tries to intercede. The guy's slapping his girlfriend or his wife around. And then when he intercedes, the girl who's getting slapped around starts beating him over their head because she's touching her boyfriend.
That's it.
This is the kind of crap that happens in a real world, people. Get your head out of your derriere, take a dip, and sniff the roses.
That's it.
The manure that is in the streets of a city like Fall River. Because remember, we live in the most dangerous city in the state of Massachusetts. And this kind of talk is ridiculous. And commendations go to our police officers who are out there in the street. Are they all great? No. But the people that walk the wrong way in Market Basket, they are doing just good. We should take them up. Should we have social workers at Market Basket counseling these people for going the wrong way and being told and saying, this is nothing, I don't care. It doesn't apply to me. I can violate the rules, but nobody else can. So they set conditions, and there's no such thing as a degree. You're either right or wrong. If it says go one way, that's the way you're supposed to be going. If you're going the wrong way, you're violating the rules. So, that's where I have difficulty dealing with most of these people, because most of these people routinely shit all over the laws.
That's true. That's true. Hey, while we're talking about some of this stuff like the budget, Baker is seeking a $5.25 million interim budget amid financial disarray. As the state's economy reels and state tax collections plunge, Governor Charlie Baker on Friday filed a $5.25 billion interim spending budget that would keep the government running through July, reports the State House News Service. Matt Murphy. We suspect it is the first of possibly many interim budgets, considering the current dismay in the state finances. And this brings up the fact that even in our own city, we have such a situation that the budget that the city council demanded, or I should say requested, has not been provided. If you look at the agenda for Tuesday city council meeting, they have here item 3, mayor and continuing appropriation, otherwise known as the 1/12 budget. See item 1 below. And on item 4, it says mayor and proposed fiscal year 2021 budget for emergency management division. And on item number 5, mayor and revised fiscal year 2021 budget for water and sewer divisions. Those are increases in rates, obviously. But when you look at the continuing appropriation, it makes for a very interesting scenario, because there's nothing included in the agenda packet on what communication the mayor sent down, or what's going on with that. So I thought that was very interesting. The water and sewer budget and everything is there, but the city council requested specifically that the mayor send down a level funded budget for 2021, because they wanted to compare the numbers for both these programs. Yet the mayor said no. And I said in the weekend flush very clearly, is this where he's drawing a line in the sand? Is he telling them, you do it as I say, and that's it? Is this a dictatorial relationship? What's going on? They requested something they have the right to request, and the mayor flagrantly denied them giving them that information. But we know about giving information, because Mary Sahadi doesn't give anyone any information. So this is part of the administration, status quo.
Well, you're right. But then again, let's let our government actually work the way it was designed to work. You're right, CJ. They said they wanted a level funded budget given to them. If the mayor does not produce that budget at Tuesday's meeting, there's a very simple resolution to this problem. Don't give him any money.
That's it. That's what I say.
The money that he sends down. You said, we told you to bring down a level funded budget so we can compare. You did not do that. And until we get what we're requesting, we're not funding anything, because we're responsible for the spending of this money. You propose and we dispose, but we will not dispose until we get the information that we feel we need in order to dispose with this issue. So that's all they have to do. Let's see if they have the courage to do that.
Well, that's the problem.
To stand up and send Mary Sahadi packing. They've never had the courage ever to tell her, you don't have the numbers, you're the CFO of this city. You're talking about an agenda item, and you came down here unprepared. Okay, we're going to cut your pay $2,000 for showing up without the numbers. Every time you show up, beat it and go get the numbers. And don't show your face in this meeting again until you do your job and give us what we asked for.
Well, that's the problem. We have no accountability in our government. And this is putting the city council in a corner now. So what happens is they've got their back against the wall by the mayor, and the mayor's hoping that this city council will do everything that every other city council has done when their back is against the wall, and say, oh, well, we have to approve the budget because there'll be no money on July 1st, and the city will close down, and there'll be no police, and there'll be no fire, and there'll be no EMS, and there'll be none of this and none of that. Police, fire, and EMS are still going to operate regardless of the fact that the city has been shut down. They won't get paid right away, or they will get paid on time, because I think that if the city shut down, the mayor would rapidly come up with that level funded budget and say, okay, here it is. So on the first, we may not have a budget. On the second, we may not have a budget. But I think on the third, we'd probably have a budget.
Yeah, I've got an even better answer, CJ. Why doesn't, if that happens, and they start saying that, city council can turn around and put the mayor in the box. Just say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to authorize payment to all essential services: police, fire, EMS, education, and all of it. Everybody else doesn't get paid. So we get protected. That's what our tax money is really for. We get the services that we're paying for. And Mary Sahadi doesn't get her paycheck. And the mayor doesn't get his paycheck. And if he doesn't do that, he doesn't care about the safety of the public. So that's what I would do if I was sitting in the council. I would say, okay, you don't want to give me this? It's fine. But I'm not going to allow the police to work or not work. We'll fund them. We'll pass a resolution to make sure they get funded. We'll fund essential services, but non-essential people like you politicians who are supposed to be working for us and a CFO that never has any numbers, you're not going to get paid. And you're not going to get paid until we get what we need in order to make an effective and a well thought out vote.
An informed decision is necessary. That's right. We've done too many decisions where we're not informed, where they're reactionary, not proactive, but reactionary decisions, and that's what's going to stop. But I will guarantee you that certain city councilors like Linda Pereira, Brad Kilby, probably even Trot Lee, will all vote in the affirmative of a continuing appropriation budget because they don't have any backbone. Plus, they want to rubber stamp the mayor. And Brad Kilby said it. Brad Kilby said it himself. I don't want to be a rubber stamp for the mayor. I think he is going to be a rubber stamp for the mayor.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You said it. Yeah, you hit it right on the head, and you said how often, and it's all too often. It's virtually always we hear we have to vote for this.
Right.
Because even though they shouldn't have bought the boat, or nobody knew about the boat, we already bought it, so it's too late. No, it's not. If you don't give them the money, the boat doesn't get bought. You send it back. The same thing with this. You don't have to do this. What you do is say no.
But they don't. But this city council doesn't have the backbone.
The only thing you have to do in life is be born and die. Those are the only two things you really have no choice over. You have no choice about being born. You have no choice about the fact that someday you're going to die. Everything else, you do have a choice. It may be an uncomfortable choice. It may be a choice that makes you want to cry and curl up in a fetal position under your desk at the city council meeting. But the reality is, you still have options. And that's why you got elected, to represent us. Not to say, oh, well, we have to do it. We'll allow the city to continue to violate the laws, to continue violating process, not put out RFPs, not do this, not do that, and still reward them by giving them everything they did, even though the way they did it was illegal. So guess what? In a year from this coming November, hopefully there will be a lot of new candidates for city council. And if this council doesn't pull its weight and represent us, I'm gonna work my butt off to make sure most of them are gone.
I hear you there. Well, it looks like we're out of time. It's been a short show again. We never have enough time. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you're staying safe. And remember, stay angry and come back on Wednesday and watch the After City Council show.
It should be epic. Okay.